Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. So let's take a break from autumnal cards and make some cards for Halloween. Halloween cards are a little bit funny for me. While I like to make them because they are fun to make, I don't have a use for them. I only make them if I have a good stamp set or if I find an inspiration online. And for this card, I was inspired by two cards. One is this one from the blog of Gerdesteiner Designs, and the other one is this one from Michelle Short. I really like the idea of the moon. Since you already saw the pictures of the card, you know which card I picked to recreate. The colors with the purple card were just much simpler. So I do not own any products Michelle used. I think this was a Hero Art blog hop, but that's no problem. You do not need to have the exact products to create something similar. I use distress inks for the blending. If you don't have any inks to blend, you can use watercolors. I also needed to create a mask for the moon, and for that I used a post-it note. I'm using here the post-it notes that have the full adhesive on the back. You can see I'm using other products as well. The full list you can find over on my website. The link is in the description below. I started by creating a mask for the moon. I first used my compass to draw the circle and then I cut it out. I was trying to be very careful cutting it out as I wanted the circle to be as smooth as possible. By the way, if you are using watercolors, this mask will not help. You will need to go carefully around the circle with a brush or use a masking fluid. I attached the mask onto the cardstock and then I started ink blending. The inks I'm using here are Black Soot, Dusty Concord and Wilted Violet. And the cardstock I'm using here is the Canson XL watercolor paper. I like to use it for distress ink blending as it's quite smooth and I think the colors blend very well. When ink blending, I like to start with the lightest ink and then go darker, creating sort of a base layer, and then I go the other way from darkest to lightest, blending the colors together. And I apply as many layers as needed. It's also good to have a slick surface when you're blending. The blending tool just slides in better. I'm using here a laminated cardstock. The most difficult part with the blending was the constant cleaning of the brush, as I didn't want to contaminate the colors. This is a makeup brush that I bought in a discount store, but I only bought one. And I always have to clean the brush thoroughly, especially when changing from a light to dark ink. I really need to buy more. The cleaning is getting annoying. As I was applying the lightest ink, the Wilted Violet is it? I forgot to turn on the camera, but I did the same as with the other inks. I applied the ink around the moon, making the color more intense. I hope this wasn't too fast for you, but the blending is done. I really like how it came out. And if you like it as well, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe because in my next video I will have another Halloween card idea with another distress ink blending combination. And if you have any questions, just write them in the comments below. But we are not finished yet. Here I was a little bit stuck as I did not know what to do next. I was thinking maybe painting a tree, but at the same time I didn't want to cover the moon too much. I wanted it to be very simple and I like the bats, so I continued with the idea of the cards that Michelle did. But I don't have a die or a stamp set with bats. So I had to improvise a little bit and draw and cut the bat myself. I made two of them and here they are. I filmed it, but since I was drawing on a black cardstock, you would not see anything. I just looked up images of bat silhouettes on Google and tried to draw that. I attached a double-sided foam tape onto the back of the bats, but before I adhered them, I first stamped and heat embossed the sentiment using a white embossing powder. The sentiment says Happy Halloween and it's from an old stamp set by Crilly Besotted. I first treated the cardstock with an anti-static powder, then I stamped it using the Versamark ink, and then I melted the powder with my heat tool. By the way, before I stamp the sentiment, I let the panel air dry overnight. You need to wait for the ink to fully dry before using embossing powder, and for some reason I have more patience to let it air dry than using a heat tool and drying it that way. I attached the panel onto a white card base using normal double-sided tape, and then I adhere the bats on top of it over the moon, and this finishes the card. As you can see, if you like a card someone else made, you can create something similar even if you don't have the same products. It is a little bit too similar for my likings. This was originally supposed to be only YouTube shorts, but I just wanted to keep it simple and I was really struggling with ideas for Halloween cards. Talking about YouTube Shorts, this is actually my second Halloween card. In my previous video, I made a card with a cat using the wet on wet technique to create fur. If you haven't seen it, make sure you check it out. It's only 30 seconds. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.